episode 3. Now, don't forget that every time I premiere an episode, I'm actually on the chat, so feel free to ask me questions. Some of you have sent pictures like of your cone bread, and I absolutely love it. Glad you're enjoying it. And if you don't, I'm gonna tell you a secret. Mikey's my cameraman, so you see how amazing a job he does. So we'll film multiple episodes in one day. So this is not done in real time, but I am on chat in real time if you have any questions. So remember, we did cone bread in the cast iron skillet, right? Well, today we are doing a cast iron skillet apple pie. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to do a cast iron skillet apple pie. Wash your hands. Hot what? Dish water. Hot dish water is ready to go. So before we get started, when I tell y'all this is probably one of the most beautiful gifts my mother and my grandmother could have passed down to me, it really is. It holds so many memories. I had a couple people say they remember their grandma's cast iron skillet, so I'm happy to have that. So before we get started, we're going to take, now you know this recipe right here is no good, because you're going to use a whole stick of butter. And I'm using, well, I can't say product name, but I'm using a stick of butter, okay? So if you're going to ask me like salted or unsalted, I'm going to say salted. I don't know if that's right, but anyway. I'm using the one that you can't believe it's not. Okay, all right. So I don't know if I get in trouble for that. Anyway, so I'm going to put a whole stick of butter in the pan. And I'm going to put the pan in the oven and let the butter melt. I need the butter to melt. I have preheated my oven to 350. And so we're just going to let that sit and melt while I work on my apples. Now, this recipe calls for 4 pounds of apples. Generally, I will use Granny Smith apples and Braeburn, but I found if I switch it up, I still get amazing results. So this time I did 2 pounds of Granny Smith and 2 pounds of Pink Lady apples, right? So I've already peeled the other apples, but remember last episode I told y'all I was a gadget junkie? And so I'm just going to show you how I peel my apples. You can probably do it faster by hand, but it's just not as satisfying for me if I don't have some sort of gadget that does part of the work for me. It's part of my joy of being in the kitchen. Alright, so I peel my apple, use my apple core here. Just put it around the core. Boom. Now we got apple slices. And I'm going to cut these in half. It's going to cut it actually a little thick, so I'm just going to cut these in half. So it's a pretty quick process. And in my bowl, I already have the rest of my apples. You know, like the magic they do on TV. Okay. So I'm going to put the peels down. Garbage disposal. And let it go for broom. Okay. Now, in my bowl of apples, I'm going to add a cup of regular sugar, just white granulated sugar. I'll sprinkle that on top. A whole cup of sugar and a whole stick of butter. No good. All right, and then I'm going to do a teaspoon of cinnamon. It's probably more than a teaspoon. And then I'm going to mix it up. So I'm just going to make sure that the apples are coated with the sugar and the cinnamon. You can smell it. You can add a little more cinnamon. Ain't gonna hurt nobody. Add some cinnamon. Okay. I'm going to add just a little more cinnamon. Y'all do what you want to do. Alright. Put the cinnamon back on my hanging spice rack. Alright. So now my apples are ready. And I am going to check on my butter and make sure it's melted. So we put a stick of butter into our cast iron skillet. It's nice and melted. And with the whisk, because a whisk is the best way to dissolve things, I have a cup of light brown sugar, and I'm just going to kind of fold it. That was a joke. I'm going to dump it into the pan, and I'm going to whisk it into the butter until it's dissolved. So until it's nice and smooth. So it's going to kind of resemble like a pre-caramel. Caramel. However you want to say it. So I'm whisking. I need it to be perfectly smooth. Just butter and a cup of light brown sugar. Okay. All right. was hot. So you see how smooth that is? Make sure it's mixed. I'm gonna dedicate this episode to Makita's because this is hands down her favorite dessert. I think she would eat it if I would cook it every day. So here you go, Makita's. I know you still aren't gonna try to make it. All right, nice and smooth, and it kind of resembles a caramel. Oh, that's so good. Okay. I have 2 store-bought pie crusts. They come 2 in a pack. I'm not extra enough to actually roll out pie crusts. So I'm going to take one of them and I'm just going to lay it on top of the caramel mixture. Y'all, when I tell you this is the best pie in life, yep, it's going to change your whole life. Exactly. I heard you. It's going to change your whole life, this pie right here. All right. So I'm just going to kind of set it on top of the caramel, make a little bowl of sorts. You see that? And then I'm going to take my apples with just sugar and cinnamon, and I'm going to dump those right on top. Okay. Now the apple's going to cook down a lot. So it might seem like, ooh, I got too many apples. Ain't no such a thing. It's too many apples. And this yummy goodness at the bottom, I'm going to get all that up and through there too. Get all that out. Okay. I use my trash bowl for my apples this time, y'all. Alright. So just to make sure my apples are placed in there. This already looks good right here. Now, I'm going to take the remaining pie dough. I'm going to unroll it. And place it on top. Nothing fancy. Just make sure it covers the top of your cast iron skillet. And then there's a next step. Then one last thing is our egg white. So just crack an egg, and you have the two shells of the egg. Just back and forth seas with the yolk and let the egg white fall into the bowl, and then you can discard the yolk. And so we're going to whip the egg white with a whisk until it's foamy like this, and that's what's going to give our apple pie like that sheen and that glaze. So I like to cut slits in my apple pie, so I'm just going to go through. I'm going to make like a starburst, nothing fancy. If you have the little pie cutout things, which if I find them in TJ Maxx, I'm going to get those next. You could do little cutouts if you want to, but I'm just cutting little slits so it can breathe a little bit. And with my foamy egg white right here, I have a pastry brush, and I'm just going to brush this on. You'll see it'll start to shine. Won't affect the taste of your pie at all, but it will give your pie. And you have to do this pretty quick because you'll see like the pan is hot and you don't want it to like melt your pie crust. And so I'm just going to coat outside, and then I just decided, watch what I'm going to do next, y'all. This right here is going to, you already know it's going to change your whole life. So this life-changing cooking show I have here. All right, so I have coated the top of my crust with a pastry brush. There's also my barbecue brush. There's also my yeast roll brush. All right. And just as a little extra, I'm going to take some white sugar, and I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit on top. It's going to be beautiful. Okay, so like a little bit across the top. By the time this is over, I'll be nice and fat. All right, now we're ready to bake. I'm going to put it in a 350-degree oven for an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going to monitor it between the hour and hour 15. Now I'm going to cook it on a baking sheet because this bad boy is going to bubble all over. You will have to clean your oven if you don't. So I'm going to put the cast iron skillet on the baking sheet just to catch the excess, and we'll see you in an hour to an hour 15 minutes. All right, it's been an hour 15 minutes. I done had a whole good nap. Let's see what we got going on. Yes. I wish you could hear like the bubbling. Y'all, look at my pie. Makitas, look at the pie. Okay. So, I really should let it cool off. Now, this is not the kind of pie where, like, you slice it and it stands up on the plate. It's really going to end up in the bowl more like a cobbler. So, let me get this crust off the edge right here. I wish y'all could hear that crust. So, I'm just going to put this right over in the bowl. Look at that. Don't make no sense. I'm gonna get some of this filling out the middle right here. Put that. You really should let it stand for a minute, but I'm not. And then I'm going to add some of this right here. Look at that. Look at that. I know y'all wait for me to taste it and roll my eyes up in my head. That crunchy, crispy, flaky crust that I made from the store. Cut that camera off because I'm about to eat this. Time to eat, y'all. Join me for my next episode of Abby's Kitchen. So good.